Hello and welcome to today's lesson, Unlocking Worlds, diving into your first steps in Unreal Engine. I am Cynthia Munive and I am Unreal Authorized Instructor in Virtual Production Academy. So today we are going to learn how do we get our hands on Unreal Engine. And please let me tell you that I am super excited that you are learning this amazing software that is super useful and very versatile. So I'm going to share my screen and showcase a little bit of the steps on how you get your hands into Unreal Engine, how to install it, how to create a new project. So let's get started. This video is for you if you want to gain a clear understanding of what Unreal Engine is and its applications. Also, it is important to learn how to install Unreal Engine and set up a project from scratch. We're gonna open and explore the main features of Unreal Engine to begin your creative journey. So welcome everyone. Let's take our first steps into this great and powerful engine. First of all, what is Unreal? Unreal Engine is a powerful real-time 3D tool used in gaming and filmmaking, architecture, and many more disciplines. It is free, versatile, and used by both professionals and hobbyists worldwide. I know you are eager to start using Unreal Engine right away. However, it is always important to keep in mind what kind of projects you are gonna do in that software, what to expect. So for that, I'm gonna share with you guys the sizzle that Unreal presented on the 2024 GDC. For this, let me just share my screen. And there we go.
Creation, elevation, bending space and time. A whole new reality. A whole new reality. Welcome to the unknown. A whole new reality. A whole new reality. Take me to Let's go now, let's go now, let's go now, let's go now.
Pretty cool, huh? So Unreal Engine has given us this sizzle, which contain little parts of games, cinematics, movies, short films, and a lot of real-time projects that you can do inside Unreal Engine. Please keep in mind that Unreal is always posting content in its channel regarding the conferences, some of the highlights, a lot of these interesting transmissions that can always help you with some questions, to dive into what's new in Unreal, to get your hands in what are specific tools, and many other interesting playlists that you can find in here into the Unreal Engine channel. First of all, we need to get ready. Before actually installing Unreal, we have to ensure that your system is meeting the minimum requirements for the optimal performance. In the PDF provided, you can find this link, which will guide you through a site with the hardware and software specifications. You can choose from Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, depending on which computer are you using. In my case, I am using a workstation that has Windows, and we can find here the recommended hardware specifications. The operating system, which is Windows 10, in my case, I've got it. The processor, this is very, very important because Unreal Engine will be running a lot of processes in our processor, and we'll be using a lot of video RAM. For that, it's also very important to note that the minimum graphics card has to be compatible with the latest drivers, especially if you want to use projects with ray tracing or with many polygons in a scene or with lighting effects. Our graphic card is going to be the key component in our workstation. It is also important to talk about the minimum software requirements. In this case, very simple, I have the Windows 10 system and also the DirectX runtime. If you're not sure, you can always click on this link and ensure that your computer has this DirectX installed. Once you install Unreal Engine, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. We are going to run the prerequisite installer. So what is this? It installs everything that you need to run the editor and engine correctly. So don't worry, if this prerequisite installer is failing, then probably you will have to come back to this page and then download the DirectX or update your graphics card's driver. Of course, this varies if you are using a Mac OS. You can just click here and review the recommended, and also the same for Linux. Once we're ready to go, we know that our workstation is going to work just fine. We are more than ready to start diving into Unreal Engine. So first of all, we need to set up our Epic Games launcher, and for that, we need an Epic Games account. So we are gonna click on this link or type it into our browser, and we are gonna create an Epic Games account. This is completely free, and you can use any email you want. Once that is done, you have to download and install the Epic Games launcher and log in with the credentials that you just created to get access to Unreal Engine, as well as all of the tools and resources. A lot of them are free, and you will be learning how to use it within this short tutorial. So we are gonna run into this link here, and this is the Epic Games Store. From here, we are gonna click on download. It should be at the top right corner in a blue button. And this is gonna download the Epic Games installer. Once it is set up, you can open it, and then your computer will start with the setup. Here you should choose where should you want to install it, and then click on install. Once it is done, I'm gonna suspend this process because I've already have it installed in my computer. But once it is done, you will see the Epic Games launcher, which will look more or less like this. So what is this? This is the program that you should open every single time you want to run Unreal Engine. So don't start Unreal on its own. Please come inside the Epic Games launcher and start it from here. You will find at the left side 3 different tabs. First of all, the store, where you can purchase games, projects. There are a lot of special offers and a lot of fun games to dive into. Also, the library this is a way to stay organized with your collections and with the purchases that you already own. But if you want to install Unreal Engine, you should dive into the third tab, the Unreal Engine tab. So this is a great time because Unreal Engine 5.5 is barely released. And here you will see the latest news, the latest projects, what is available, a lot of spotlight or interesting artsy projects that you can dive into that the community is sharing, and also a lot of news about technology. Samples is a place where there are free projects that you can download and install in your workstation to start playing around with them. Like just dive into the topic that you're interested in and start getting your hands into how was this project done. The marketplace is where you can purchase some assets. Right now, everything is moving into Fab. But to install Unreal Engine, we should always go to the Library tab up here. As you can see, I have 2 installed versions in my computer, but I can add many as needed. How do I do this? I click on the Engines version new icon, and then I can drop down here to select which version am I gonna be using. Of course, 5.5 is the latest version, so it is the suggested one in here. We can also go back to 5.4 or 5.1, depending on the needs of the specific project. Once I am ready, I am gonna click install and it's gonna download into my folder. This is gonna take a while because it's gonna install every single component that Unreal Engine will be needing. If you, for some reason, discover that you're installing a version that you do not need, you can always click here in the remove slot version, and it is gonna just remove this version and stay with the current one. Once you have done that, then we have to wait for the download to be completed. As I said earlier, this can take a while because Unreal Engine is downloading everything that you need to run the program smoothly. Once it is installed, you can click the yellow button that says Launch. This will open Unreal Engine. I have to make a note here. If it's the very first time that you open Unreal Engine, it can take a while. So be patient. Unreal is making background configurations and settings so it can run smoothly. Especially the first time that you open it, it is gonna take a while. So just choose the version that you want to launch and then click here. Another different way to do this is at the top right corner, we're gonna find the launch button. And here we can switch between the installed versions that we have in our workstation. Once I click launch, a panel like this one will appear in my computer. And as I said earlier, Unreal will be compiling everything that you need so it can run smoothly. Once it is done, you will be able to open a project in Unreal Engine. How to do that? Well, before we have to create this project before actually opening Unreal Engine. And how do we do that? Okay, it is pretty simple and straightforward. Our first step, we need to choose our templates. Unreal is going to suggest us different templates depending on what discipline you are using Unreal for. My personal favorite is the third-person template because it has a lot of materials and a lot of blueprints that you can play into later on. These can be found into the Games tab and third person. The second step is to select a location in your computer. On this step, I selected a location into my drive disk, into the Unreal Projects folder. And then give your project a name. The generic name that Unreal is going to suggest you is my project 2, or just a generic name. But you can change this name, or you do have more information on the future. What is this project for? I highly recommend on the step 3 to click on the starter content. because this is going to get you access to all of the pre-built assets that you can be using once you're inside Unreal Engine. And the final step is to click the blue button at the bottom that says create. So I'm going to show you right now my launcher. Right here, I have the Unreal Projects browser in which I can see what projects I already have in my drive disk in my computer. In case you, in the future, create a lot of projects, you can access them through this window. And it's going to say the name of the project as well as the version of the engine that it was created with. On this example, since I started 5.3, I see that I have 3 projects with this current version. However, I could also access projects from 5.2 or previous by creating a copy of this project into this newer version. If you do not have any previous projects, then you can choose, as I said, between these categories. So one suggestion is the third person, or another one is the virtual production, because these templates are gonna like get us a good starting point to build on top of that. Very important, choose the location in which you want to be creating this project. Keep in mind that these projects usually take a lot of memory, so use it in a hard drive disk that has enough space. And once you do that, give your project a name and hit on create. After a while, again, be patient with Unreal Engine since it is downloading all of the assets and all of the tools. It is gonna open Unreal Engine with its main interface. So once your Unreal Engine level is open, you will find something like this. This is the third person template, and it has a sandbox pre-made with many objects for you guys to play around. Whenever you click on an object, it will be selected in the outliner. The outliner is a list of all of the objects and actors that are contained into our level, and they can be organized by folders. And also something nice is that you can select any object in the outliner and it will be selected in the viewport. For example, these cubes that are making up our sandbox. The other way around also works. If you select an object by clicking on it in the viewport, it will be automatically selected in the outliner. This is useful to get like a quick view of how your level is organized. You can add some more stuff here into our viewport using the Place Actors panel right here. Or if you have it docked into your interface directly from here, you can navigate to the Shape section and then add more cubes by simply dragging and dropping them here into the sandbox. By pressing the letter F in the keyboard, you can zoom into the selected object. For example, right here, I zoomed into my cylinder. Right now, I'm gonna do that with my cube and with the floor of my sandbox. And the camera will automatically transfer to showcase this entire object. However, there are some useful camera controls to keep in mind. Right now, we are too close to our object, so if I use the middle mouse button, I will automatically zoom outside. And I can use this middle mouse button to zoom in and out. If I click on my left mouse button and drag it, I will be able to move my camera, orbiting the selected object or moving the camera back and forth. If I use the right mouse button and drag it, I will be able to move my camera and rotate it. If I click my left and my right mouse button, I will be able to do all of that. Rotate my camera, orbit it, and move it back and forth and up and down. So Unreal Engine has a left-hand coordinate system. This means that this side is positive x, negative x, positive y, negative y, and positive c and negative c. Whenever you're having questions, where are you moving? It's as simple as to look at your left hand. X, Y, and Z. It is also useful to check the details panel right here. This will show a lot of important information regarding the selected object. For example, this object is in this specific location. Why so? Because this is the place where I dropped it into my level. I can reset this position to default by clicking on this arrow. Right now, my object disappeared from my camera, but I can use the F key to select it. And we can see that it is back in the origin. Again, we can move this with this arrow, with this button here for translation, or also press the letter W in your keyboard. So using W, I am gonna pan an orbit and then bring my cube back into my viewport. Zooming in again with the F keyboard, and then click on the E on your keyboard or use this button to rotate the object. For scale, you can press the R button or this button right here to scale the object. As you can see, all of these are snapping. I mean, the scale is not scaling like uniformly and smoothly, but it is snapping. This is because we have the snapping to the grid enabled, 10 degrees enabled, and 0.25 units in scaling enabled. You can change these properties by simply clicking on these options. Now my translation will be snapped to 50 instead. And now it is snapping way further. Or I can simply disable it by using this button on the top right corner. And I can move it super smoothly right now to the desired position. The same will happen with the snapping in rotation. Let's say I want it to snap to 30 degrees. I press the E button and then rotate it 30 degrees evenly. Or of course, I can disable my snapping and then move this super smoothly and rotate it as long as I am willing to do so, so it can be placed perfectly as I exactly need it to. And finally, the snapping to the scale. If I disable it, I can now also scale it super smoothly to be the desired size. And I can also do that in one single dimension or using the three of them with the center of my gizmo here. Since we have added the starter content to our level, you can find here there are a collection of folders to choose from. I highly recommend you to use the architecture folder to simply drag and drop some walls here. Let's say something like this. And then rotate this to create a nice outline. The content drawer is a place where you can find all of the assets in your project. Right now, as you can tell, I have it open and closed with this button at the bottom left corner. However, I can dock it in my layout by using the docking layout option. This will automatically pop up a window that I can move and just transport into the desired place I need in my interface. Let's say in here and adjust it. So right now my content will be fixed here and it will be way easier for me to start adding the material into the viewport. Another interesting folder is in the prop material, in the prop section. Here I can drag and drop any object that I need and place it into my level. However, keep in mind that whenever you add a new prop, Unreal will have to load and prepare all of the shaders that this object needs, so it might take a little while. Right now, you know how to add new content into Unreal Engine and create something nice. To duplicate an existing object, you can press the Alt key and then use one of the transformations, either moving, rotating, or scaling, and it will create a duplicate of the object. This is way easier than actually looking for the prop and then dragging and dropping, because sometimes we have many options to choose from. So right now, pretty easily, you have something going on in here. The challenge for you will be to explore the starter content, start playing around with all of the folders here, and simply start dragging and dropping some of this content. For example, adding a material from the materials folder to some of the blank objects or props from the architectures folder. And as simple as that, you now have something really, really nice to be playing around in Unreal Engine. And now, pretty easily, you have built something unreal. Once you're done, please be sure to save all of these changes. At the bottom right corner of your interface, you will find a list that said I have 12 unsaved assets. If you hit this button right here, you will find a list of all of the new assets or the ones that you have modified. By default, everything here is selected. If not, you can always click on this checkbox to select all of it and then hit the Save Selected button. Another way to do this is to overwrite the third-person map here. So we go to File, and then we can hit on the Save All, or also save our current level to only save the assets modified in this level, or make another level to not overwrite our map with the option Save Current Level As. For example, right here, I can go to the level prototyping, or, for example, drop it right here in the content and give this level a whole new name. Let's say my first level, and then just hit on save. Now everything changed because here I have my first level and I can keep on modifying this without losing everything I did in the third person original template. So please keep in mind that after you make all of these changes, after you play around with the architecture, with the props from the start content, with the shade, textures, and everything that Unreal is giving us to experience for the first time this content, we have to always save all of the modified assets or save our level. Once you're done, you're ready to start creating your own projects into Unreal Engine. So, as a quick recap for this tutorial, we gained a clear understanding of what Unreal Engine is and some of its applications. We also learned how to install Unreal Engine and how to set up a project from scratch. And we reviewed how to open and explore the main features of Unreal Engine to begin your creative journey. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and remember, now that you've opened your first project, the possibilities are endless. See you soon and enjoy your learning.